All right, let's get started, everyone. Thank you for joining. And I just see Sophie. What's up, Sophie? How you doing? So from Santa Barbara. I always love Sophie. We had an event there, Sophie, and we missed you, which was a good one. Lorraine was there, Lori.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us. Let's get started. If you don't know Lorraine, she runs a brokerage out of the Washington State area. And she has a lot of years of experience in a good way, Lori. And this is why we have her on, though, because she has such a great structure. She has a magnificent business. And I want to really showcase what she does so that you can get some ideas as to how you can be running your team, your brokerage, whatever it is, it fits into it. Lori, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. It's really a cool model that we have going on here. We've got VAs, we've got in-house, and I've really combined kind of the best of both worlds to make it run extremely smooth. I was joking the other day saying, oh, I wish that my VA could pick up lock boxes or be a showing broker, because those are the things that sometimes you need filled in. So having both an in-house staff and VA, I love it, because I feel like people think you have to choose either completely virtual or completely in-house, and combining them, I can't say enough how great it is. And it really makes everything run so smoothly.
Yep, I agree with you. I mean, we do the same thing here. So I'm excited to see your presentation, because the last time you did this, I took one of your slides and I just
you made it better.
I copied it, but I did give you 100% credit. So there you go.
You can always copy any of it. I love sharing information. I love the way that you always say, I'm not trying to compete with you because I want us both to win. And that's really how I look at it too. People in real estate, for some reason, have always thought, oh, I'm in competition with these people. And that's just not how I have conducted myself or business. There's enough business for everyone. And I want to see everybody doing amazing business and taking anything that I have, take an idea and go with it. I would love to see what other people come up with. So
True.
Absolutely.
True. All right. Well, let's jump in. I know your presentation is going to be awesome. I've got my notepad and pen. So
all right.
Hello, Lori. While you're at it, I'm going to just bring in some other people on the Facebook side of this, because I see
awesome.
A few friends are on.
And just so you guys know, you do not have to be a computer expert by any stretch of the imagination to have a virtual assistant. Guys, I don't even know how to set up a printer. I am the most I need a lot of help when it comes to technology. And so just so you know, I don't even know how to make this full screen.
Don't worry about it.
So I always encourage people, because people say, oh, I don't know how to work with technology, so I can't have a VA. And I look at them and I laugh and go, guys, I am the most computer inept person in my field. We're in Microsoft, Amazon country. There's Facebook up here now, and I make it work. So if I can make it work, anyone can make it work. So this is just kind of a quick presentation that I put together about running a virtual office, because our brokerage here at Nexus is completely virtual. We do have office space, but nobody ever has to come in the office. Everything is done online. All of our contracts, the storage of contracts, everything is virtual. We run our sales meetings virtually. So here's just a little bit about me. I've been doing this, and now it's actually 23 years now. I was in denial that it was my 23rd year. And I was like, oh, no, 1998, that's 22 years ago. No, guys, it's 23. So when you say, oh, you've been in the business for a long time, I'm like, oh, I know, I don't want to accept that. I started when I was 3.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense now.
Right? So I've owned 6 different real estate brokerages throughout time. I've had a full staff in-house. I have had, a no staff. I've run everything from, 3 people in the entire brokerage up to over 150. So I've had a wide range of brokerages. I have bought properties in other countries. I've owned, well, it says on here I've owned over 100 properties, but I've been involved with over 300 flips. So I definitely have a wide experience, not just running a brokerage or being an investor or being a broker. I've done a lot of different things, and I always tell people it helps when you understand the other facets of real estate. Concentrating on just doing one thing is great because you can become great at it, but it's also great to take a look at other aspects. So I've coached and trained many brokers, and I have been licensed in 4 states. So this is kind of the setup of old offices that I used to run. It was a traditional, people come into the office, have your in-person sales meetings, you have your admin in the office, mentors to help new brokers when they come on, designated broker, as well as managing brokers for training and all of that fun stuff. The costs, of course, that are involved in this are rent. You have to supply usually computers, printers, desks, office spaces. My brokerage was 25-75 split because we did provide leads. So the broker got 25%. There was no cap, 50-50 after 2 years. So here's some of the offline. So this is the traditional brick and mortar office. These are some of the expenses. So you have a lot of expenses when it comes to that, whether it comes to office managers, commission, all of that good stuff. So that is all disclosed here. It goes through, of course, rent can vary on location. You're probably looking at that going, really, in Malibu, $3,500 for rent? Heck yes, I'll take 5. So
you never know. You never know.
I was looking at properties in Kansas, talking to one of my investors last night, and I was looking at the prices there. So in Kansas, they'd look at $3,500 a month rent and go, my gosh, do you have like a whole office building? So I think it really depends on where you are in the country. And I just based it on what I had, right? And that was in Tacoma, Washington. Now, of course, there's all different areas that you can have different rent. So here is currently, right? We've had the pandemic happening now. We're going in, we're over 1.5 years basically into this. And 80% of businesses went completely online during this time. So it really has shown, the conversations that I have with brokers as I'm talking to people that want to move over to the brokerage, is they realize that they can work from home. They realize that they don't have to go into the office space. They've realized that there's more flexibility with a virtual brokerage. So given that 80% of all businesses are doing this, I think that real estate is also on board. We are offering, different packages for people that want to work from home and aren't concerned about going in to the office because they've got their home office set up. Now, this is exciting because you don't have to pay for the office space when you don't use one. When you are in a virtual brokerage or working with VAs, you don't have to pay for your assistant, right, to have an office space. Now, traditionally, when I have run teams or brokerages, you have to have spaces for your admins, your assistants, your brokers. I mean, pretty much everyone needs space. And so that's when your rent goes up and up and up. As you're growing and you're making more money, you're also spending more. The whole adage of spending money to make money, right, is very true. And that is what a lot of places and businesses are realizing is the office expense is not necessarily, you don't necessarily need as much office space as you once did. That's what I've seen a lot of places in this area doing that. Now, here is the virtual company structure. This is lead generation manager, managing broker, virtual office manager, transaction coordinator, marketing manager, and growth manager. Now, a lot of times people don't have a growth manager position. I adore my VA. That is my growth manager. People a lot of times think that the growth manager needs to meet with these people in person.
Mhm.
And I have a VA that is my growth manager that, you know, talks to the people who are interested in moving over, and he manages all of that from overseas. It's an amazing position. And if you don't have a growth manager that is doing scouting and talking to people, getting in touch with people who are interested in your business model, you are dropping the ball. That is the best way to have your team grow. It's the best way to have your brokerage grow. Have someone who that is their primary job, is finding more people. Yeah, Tristan?
All right. So with the growth manager,
Mhm.
what are their daily responsibilities? What would that look like?
So they do ads, whether it be social media, LinkedIn, any of the places where you can, like Alignable, I want to say. I clearly don't do that job, so I'm doing just guessing here. But they go out and they collect people's information and they talk to people who are interested in participating in what we have going on here. And it's awesome because it's not just one phone call and you let it go. Like, we're in real estate, guys. Do you get an online lead and just go, oh, no, we tried one text, you're done? No, you have a follow-up list. You're contacting these people, following up, checking in, seeing where they are in the process. And so it's the same thing as like a lead manager, right? Someone who's going to be doing the lead follow-up. It's the same thing, just with growth in mind versus leads for income generating commission, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So that's what they do.
I love that. And then
Yeah.
I can see how, as a team leader, you totally need something like this if you want to continue to keep on bringing talent on. So
Yes.
this is great. I love
I've,
that.
I've seen some of the top producers in our market during the last year change brokerages when I thought there was no way they would ever be changing. And to watch those people change, I'm like, oh yeah, we need to be on top of this. We need to be talking to these people, spreading the information, running the ads. And really, that position is what is going to give you market share within your market. It's what's going to give you more visibility. It's because they share on social media when somebody does get hired. They share that as well. And when you're talking to people, you can, share. They also are in charge of getting like testimonials when somebody has moved over, to really talk about what the differences are. So yeah.
I love that. Thanks for the breakdown. All right, what do we got next?
Now, what they do. So this talks about the virtual office manager, transaction coordinator, and marketing manager. I think most people know what most of those do. The thing that a lot of people don't realize is you do not need a in-office office manager. That is a position that you can do from anywhere. So anything that is involving phone calls, onboarding, all of that is done virtually here. So we have a virtual office manager. The transaction coordinator, also virtual. Now, we do have an in-house transaction coordinator, and she's training the virtual transaction coordinators. So it's pretty awesome. Marketing manager, of course, they're in charge of marketing everything. So they work with the growth manager to make sure we are basically talking about what we're doing when people are moving, just creating an excitement and buzz about the company. So that's really what the marketing manager is. Now, the growth manager, I talked with a little bit about them earlier, and the lead generation. I think that lead generation can be for, commission leads. It can also be if you are not necessarily running a team. So I have a real estate team that is my team for my personal sales. Then I have the brokerage. So I run both. And I have lead generation for leads, for real estate leads. Then I have the separate for Nexus, the lead generation for new brokers. So there's both going on.
Oh, I love that.
Brokers, you just got to love them because they fill in all the cracks, right? None of our managing brokers are really in the office ever. They're always available via Zoom, phone. Like I tell them all the time, you can catch them on Facebook messaging, you can Instagram message them, you can get a hold of them any way you want. What's your preferred way of communication? So it's pretty awesome because they still run their own businesses, but they're also there to help me answer questions, because when I get 6 phone calls in a row, I text, hey, call Tyler, or hey, check in with Pavel, or, I can say, hey, I've got this in front of me. I know you need an answer to this. So let's go down the list of people to contact. So yeah.
Nice. I love that. All right. So Sophie asked earlier if she can have the slides. I'm sure somebody else is wondering the same thing. So do you mind putting these, or maybe one snapshot of them, into the group later?
Oh, in Leverage? Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks.
Can totally do that. I just will have to have someone help me figure out how to share.
Yeah, no problem. Just throw it to one of the VAs. I'm pretty sure they can.
Exactly. I'm like,
they can do it for you.
It may not be posted by me per se, but it will be there. Because again, you guys, I am not technology savvy. I am not on the forefront of that. And it's funny because people always assume when you have VAs or that you put out videos or do a lot of the things that people think you have to be tech savvy to do, I'm not.
That's funny. You know what? You're so, and you don't have to be. This is just a statement that everybody will understand, but you're so smart when it comes to doing the things that you're great at. I mean, with the experience that you have in real estate, you shouldn't have to worry about everything else, right? Just focus on what you're amazing at, and that's what you've done. So I think, hire to your weaknesses and to your strengths, and your strengths will become stronger and your weaknesses will pick up. So you've been doing that, and I love that.
That is one of the reasons I love Virtudesk, is because when you're interviewing, because you get to choose from your VA. You're not just like, oh, here's your one choice. You interview them, you get their desk profile. You really can hire the people that are going to fill in where you don't have the knowledge, or even, I think people always think, oh, I don't want to learn this. Well, you could learn it, but you may not love it. So delegate what you don't like to do. And it makes your life, like, it's so much more workable because you're enjoying what you're doing. You're not stuck in this muck of trying to get through things that you just don't enjoy. So that's a huge part of it.
Great point. Great point. All right. What do you got right here that I'm looking at? I like this.
Online office expenses. So this is the breakdown of the cost involved for a virtual office. Ooh. So when you have, the virtual office manager, the virtual transaction coordinator, marketing manager, lead generation manager, and growth manager, those are all VAs. So your cost is so much smaller, and you have the support for your brokers at a cost to them that is so much less. So that's what we were showcasing here, right?
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yep.
Very
and
good.
Technology, I get that there's higher higher bills on some technology stuff and lower for some people, but that's just
Yeah.
kind of an estimate, right? Um,
Yeah.
so then we have kind of our breakdown of commissions, because what do people want to hear about? Money.
Breakdown. Yeah, that's what it comes down to here. They want to know how they can operate a successful, financially successful business.
So here's the thing, on the big box brokerages, they're taking a percentage of the commissions. And so the brokers are not taking home quite as much, right? And they always think that they get more support there. But what we've done is be able to streamline and use technology, VAs, and really create the same environment and creating some culture within our brokerage. But it just is more money to the pocket of the broker. And the other side of that is the brokerage is not necessarily dependent on the closings to operate, because we've streamlined the costs and really kept things, on a budget that works.
That's true. That's true. If you can scroll up to a little bit more, I want to go up. I want to talk about that for a minute or so. No, actually down to the one that showed the cost for the virtual and the monthly expenses. That's the online office expenses. That's the one.
There you go.
All right. So I wanted to just check some numbers out. So we have, like you, we have a combination of both. We have virtual staff, and then we have in-house staff. And then we have, my virtual staff is split up into two. Some are all the way across in the United States, all spread out, Florida, Texas, different New York. And then we've got our other virtual staff, which is in the Philippines, right? And one in Mexico. But what I've noticed is that even with that staff that I hired in the United States, so I've got this great web designer / tech guy, right? And he costs me about, probably like 80K a year, right? And then I have the equal version of him in the Philippines, right? And they work so well together. It's to me, it's amazing to see that. And I think the one thing that we underestimate is, because we're not used to it, seeing that somebody from the Philippines could be as good or better than somebody from the States. And to me, that's always a shock, even though I already know it. It's like, wait, what?
I 100% am in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
When I first started working with my VAs, it was about a little over a year ago. And I'd be like, oh, okay, so we need to do this, this, this. And they're like, oh, okay, so we already did this. We made a checklist. And so we've already completed this task, this task, this task. Now you need to do this. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, you're really on top of it. Like it's amazing to me how, when you take the time to train, and I think a lot of times people forget, it doesn't matter where you hire from, you're still in charge of your team. And my VAs are really part of my team. So training them, getting to know them, really figuring out what works and what doesn't work, that makes a huge, huge difference. And it has a big impact, because as you're moving forward with your team, if they're trained correctly, they can help train new team members. Because you are always adding more VAs, you're always adding more staff, because you're growing, you're moving forward. So when you're doing that, my VA that when I was hiring a new one, he trained one of my new VAs for me. And it was like, oh, well, that's helpful, because he took on a different position within kind of the structure. And I didn't have to spend as much time training. I still wanted to make sure that I was helping, but that was amazing. I think a lot of times people miss what people are capable of, no matter where they're located. You really have the opportunity to create your own culture in your team with people all around the world at this point. I mean, we had a designer that was in Russia. So, it's not like you're just limited to who you can find in your little sphere of influence, in your little, corner of the world. You're really opening up to talent across the world at this point. So don't limit yourself and don't limit your, what you think you can actually create. There's so many opportunities, and you can make a huge difference for them, and they can make a huge difference for you.
Yeah, really, really good point. All right, so you mentioned Virtudesk, and this is obviously sponsored by Virtudesk. So how many, I just want to know VA total wise, how many do you have VAs and how many in-house staff do you have?
So for Nexus, right, we have 2 in-house
Okay.
staff and then myself, and then also managing brokers that are here, right? Then out there, we've got transaction coordinator, lead gen. So for Nexus, I think we have 4 VAs. Then I have my own team where I have VAs and brokers and all of that stuff as well. Because the VAs for Nexus are responsible for the social media. They take care of a ton of stuff. And it's so great because when you're scrolling through whatever social media and you see a post and you're like, oh, that's really great. Because I'm not having to approve all of them anymore. We've gotten to that point where they know what to do and they're just posting it and you get to just kind of sit back and enjoy it. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right. Anything you want to add here in closing? We were like right on the dot. I love it.
Aim to please, Tristan.
I love that. All right. So, Lori, what areas do you cover in the state of Washington, just in case we have any referrals for you?
So we have brokers at Nexus all over the state. If it's anywhere within the state of Washington, we have a broker to cover it.
I love it. All right. So think of Washington, think of Lori and Nexus. Next. Lori first. Lori first, then Nexus. Thanks, Lori. Appreciate this. And this was awesome. So I'll look forward to looking at this in the group as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you having me on. It's always a joy to see you and talk to you and get to have some of that happy joy that you're always like, just I don't even have a word for it. It just like surrounds you. So thank you for letting a little bit of that rub off on me, and hopefully the rest of the day will be amazing.
Have an amazing wedding in 10 days.
Thanks.
Bye, Lori.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.